It looks as if Jadon Sancho saga could be coming to an end. As reported, it could be heading back to Borussia Dortmund on loan. His last game for United was way back on the 26th of August. If that's the case, does that mean that Ten Hag's staying?
Maybe, but I think they'll give Ten Hag a bit of time, I do well. I think they'll try and give him some money, maybe try and get a few players out, but it's not easy to get players out. Martial, all the best trying to get him out. You know, no one's going to want to take him, so it's not as easy to get rid of players.
Do you know, I looked at United's midfield, and I'm thinking Bruno, I'm thinking Christian Eriksen. I think United need youth and pace. They might have to swallow another 18 months of mediocrity, but
to bring in more players.
I do think they've got to spend and get some real top young talent. And with pace, I think you need pace to be anywhere near the top of the Premier.
You know what's funny though? McTominay for me has done amazing at times this season, but Man United fans moan about McTominay. How have Man United got McTominay starting? That's how far they've fallen. But he's the one that's been turning up with big goals for them.
Is he best for everyone if he leaves? Let's find out. John is now to bring us right up to speed with all the latest transfer news. talkSPORT's chief football correspondent Alex Crook. Crookie, morning.
Good morning, Crookie.
Yeah. Good morning, Al. Good morning, Gabby.
Right, just let's touch on. I don't want you to touch too much on Sancho because he's done nothing for so long. But if he's definitely on his way out, and if you agree, does that mean that Ten Hag is staying a little bit longer?
Well, I think it's a brilliant point. I think it has to go down as a show of faith in the manager. If Sancho had stayed beyond this transfer window, then I think question marks would have intensified about Erik Ten Hag's position, given the fact United have already lost 14 games this season, which is an incredible statistic. Early September, when it really kicked off on social media between Ten Hag and Sancho reacting, claiming he was made a scapegoat after being left out of the squad for the defeat at Arsenal when Ten Hag publicly questioned the efforts that he put in training. He's been left to train with the kids. He's been changing in his own sort of makeshift training room away from the first team. He's been banished from the canteen as well. So I think this was inevitable in many ways. And I think Borussia Dortmund was always going to be a potential escape route because obviously he had a fantastic spell there, earning himself that mega money move to Manchester United. My understanding is it will be a straight 6-month loan at this stage, with United having to make a significant contribution to his wages. But I would expect this deal to get done. And I think it'll be fascinating to see how Jadon Sancho does at Dortmund second time around. Can he rebuild his reputation, or will he prove Erik Ten Hag right?
Alex, you're a Man United fan. Tell me, how can, with the greatest respect, how does Antony keep playing and Sancho's not even getting a sniff?
Well, it's a brilliant question when it comes to Antony. I mean, I think you have to sort of separate the two because there's been a fallout between player and manager. A simple apology from Jadon Sancho would have been enough to get himself back in the picture, but he stubbornly refused to do that. But in terms of Antony, he was really poor again in defeat against Nottingham Forest. No goals in 30 games now. 80-odd million pounds he cost at the moment. You have to say he's been a flop. I thought he might improve in his second season. Sometimes it takes South American players from the Eredivisie as well, time to acclimatise in the Premier League. But at the moment, Al, it looks like they've signed a done.
But before Sancho had the argument with Ten Hag, he wasn't getting game time. And week in, week out as a player, you see in Antony, who you know you're better than, not performing, get another chance. Obviously, because of that £86 million price tag, a manager's going to keep playing him. And then look at Elanga, Crookie. He moved for 14 million, and he's probably the best winger Man United would have had.
Yeah, I don't necessarily buy into that. I mean, again, I think if you look at the Conor Gallagher situation, we had this debate with Simon Jordan yesterday. He was suggesting that, you know, maybe the fact that Conor Gallagher is the captain and Chelsea fans are in uproar if he's sold, maybe that tells you how far Chelsea have fallen. And I would make the same argument for Anthony Elanga. You know, if Manchester United are at the peak of their powers, then Anthony Elanga probably isn't a United player. Maybe you would argue, well, that's where United are right now, exactly. And he's better than Antony, and I can't disagree with you on that one. Just on Sancho, yes, maybe he can legitimately claim that he deserved a run in the team ahead of an underperforming Antony, but I think if he looks in the mirror and he assesses what he's contributed to Manchester United since his own big money move, I don't think he's done himself justice. I don't think United have seen the best of Jadon Sancho.
Alex, before we talk about Tottenham's in the search for a new centre-back, what about, do United have to go into the market and get one or two centre-backs?
I'm not expecting massive business at United this January, not in terms of incomings anyway. I think Jadon Sancho could be the first of a number of players to go. Gabby's alluded to it with Anthony Martial. They're desperate to get him off the wage bill. You've got the bizarre situation in some ways with Rafael Varane, where the club announced that he had a contract until the end of next season, but actually that was a contract until the end of this season with a year's option. They've decided not to take up that option, so it could be that he either leaves this window or signs a pre-contract agreement with an overseas club. Obviously, Reguilon has been sent back to Spurs because Luke Shaw is not too far away from fitness, and I think Erik ten Hag wants to work with a smaller squad, given the fact they're out of Europe, given the fact they're out of the League Cup as well. So, yeah, I'm not expecting many incomings, if any at all, at United this window.
So what about Spurs then? Spurs, again, when they've lost Song now and the injury problems that he's had to deal with, and yet Tottenham are still up there, will they go for a centre-back or someone else?
Yeah, centre-back is the key area that Ange Postecoglou has been targeting. They've held loose talks with Nice about Jean-Claire Todibo, who's got a lot of interest in the Premier League, Manchester United and Chelsea as well, looking ahead to the summer, but it looks like he'll stay at Nice for this transfer window. The player they are getting closer to, I understand, is Radu Dragusin at Genoa, a Romanian centre-back. I think at the moment there's a little bit of a gap in valuation between what Spurs want to pay and the £25 million that Genoa are looking for, but there's optimism, I think, at Tottenham, and they can get that deal done and can get it done quickly because they themselves are missing quite a few key players at the moment, including both of their first-choice centre-backs. As you mentioned, Son is off to the Asia Cup. I think there's going to be a huge loss for Spurs. I guess the only positive for all these clubs who've got players going to Asia and going for the AFCON as well is there is only one round of Premier League fixtures scheduled for January because, of course, we've got that winter break.
Yeah. Alex, I've got to break, but I've got to just finish with this. Southampton are coming.
Southampton are coming. They're on a terrific run of form, and your old club Ipswich just having a bit of a wobble. Is it 4 draws and a defeat in their last 5? I think the frustration for Russell Martin is there's been a lot of games like the one at Norwich where they're 1-0 up, they're dominating possession, they look to be cruising, and they concede a late equaliser. And I just fear maybe those late drop points could come back to haunt Southampton, but no question they're on a decent run.
talkSPORT Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.